Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. I'm Chucky2009, and tonight I have this awesome swordfish vise, and it's been customized by someone somewhere along its lifetime. But anyway, I picked this thing up off a buddy of mine. I'm going to try to get it all nice and fixed up for him. And so what we're going to do is we're going to perform a spark test on this thing. I'm assuming it's some form of cast iron. And then we're going to weld it up and bring it back to its former bench vise glory. So yeah, let's have a look at what exactly we have to work with here. This is the Swordfish brand bench vise, some Mandarin writing made in the People's Republic of China, and a model number of some kind. So, you know, I'm not exactly sure how people break bench vises like this, but it's a pretty common problem. That's an old Chaz Parker American-made vise that I welded up a while ago with 7018. This one, unless it's cast steel, we're going to use some nice nickel rods with. I want to try doing it the right, legit way. But as you can see, someone has attempted to weld this thing in the past and failed. And it broke again, or maybe it never held, I don't know. But whatever the case, we're going to have to grind all this smooth. So let's go ahead and take this apart and perform that spark test to see what this is made out of. So I got our nice strong hand magnetic V-pad set up. They're going to be holding this thing down to the table for us. And you know, basically you can tell a lot about whatever kind of metal you're working with just by the sparks it gives off when you hit it with an angle grinder. So first off, I'll do the table here so you can see what that looks like, and we'll see how that compares to the vise. Well, that's what appears to be probably white cast iron. It might be gray, but I'm going to go ahead and say this is probably white cast. And that's a very difficult form of cast iron to weld. It's not forgiving at all. And it's good that I picked up these nickel rods here. I was hoping this vise was going to turn out to be cast steel or malleable iron. I could just use 7018. But, you know, we're going to end up using these today. Now, these are very expensive. This little packet here contains 10 electrodes, 3/32 diameter, and it costs about $30, which is roughly the same as 10 pounds of 7018. So, alright, I guess while I got everything set up, I'm just going to go ahead, knock off the remains of this weld, and get the other piece ground smooth, and we'll go from there. So I just got done grinding out the remains of that old weld, and the sparks it was throwing tell us it was some kind of a steel filler metal. And but now I've got this nice single bevel joint to go ahead and just weld up. So you know, I've realized that I have this thing positioned the way it's supposed to be, because when you turn this this vertical piece, it just sets in there like that. It sort of clicks almost. And so hopefully that's where that belongs. And now let's come over here, have a look at our electrodes. Like I said, 3/32 inch cast iron, nickel 99, good for castings of light to medium weight. I don't know what that means, but hopefully that applies to us. Excellent machinability, runs on AC or DC, electrode positive. You got to preheat it, but don't worry, I got that covered. And 50 to 70 amps. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just tack that in there before we move on to our preheat. And so I'm going to come over here, turn up the longevity stick weld 250. It said 50 to 70 amps. I'm going to set this at about 70 amps for the tacks. I like to put in my tacks a little bit hot. And surge current, this is our hot start. I'm just going to go ahead and crank that because, you know, the last thing I want to do is to have a bad start with my first tack and move everything out of position. So, alright, electro positive, let's do it. Here's a fun fact, YouTube. I've never done this before. I showed you that other vise, and that I welded with 7018, and that's my only experience stick welding cast iron. I always wanted to try the nickel rods, and so that's why we're running those. But when I first tried these, y'all saw what happened. It was absolutely horrible. It's like we're running flux core on the wrong polarity. And so I tried the other polarity. I tried electrode negative, and that just made it worse. And so then I tried AC, and that was the best one yet, but it was way too cold. So I came over here, I just cranked up the welder. 90 amps on AC is where I've found that these electrodes run best. They still don't really run that well, but it's a lot better than what happens if you follow the instructions. So if you buy these electrodes, the instructions, absolutely useless. Anyway, I'm going to re-tack these on AC because I don't suspect those are going to hold when we start heating it up. And then we're going to start heating it up. Alright you guys, so I just cranked up our nice Avani fume extractor, and I'm doing that because between all the grease and oil and paint that's on this thing, it's probably going to smell pretty interesting once I get it heated up. So I got the rosebud set up on the torch. I got the torch. A big thank you to my buddy Wes, aka Welding 2012 on YouTube. He's out of town, he's off at college, and he left me his torch while he was there to make some videos with. So anyway, let's get this thing nice and hot and weld it up and hope for the best. Oh man, YouTube. 95 amps on AC. That's what I welded it with. I started off 10 amps more, and then once I welded for a while and that thing was good and hot, I backed it down some. But as you can see, I got it buried in sand now, so it'll cool slowly. And I made it a point to shove sand down in that inner tube thing there. And you know, I've always wanted to try that. I mean, when I did the 7018, about half the comments were, dude, that's awesome, I never knew you could do that. And half the other comments were just calling me an incompetent hack, you know, I'll never accomplish anything, despite the fact the vise is still in one piece. But anyway, you know, a lot of people requested to see a nickel welding video. I kind of wanted to try it, and this seemed like a pretty good excuse. So those electrodes did run pretty horribly, but they did put down welds, so hopefully they cool all right, you know. The first time I welded cast, when I did that vise, I was just hammering with the good old slag chip and hammer. But I spent $19.99 on this fine cobalt, and it works great for this. It's not all that powerful. If I was going to use it for other air hammer things, I would have gotten a more powerful one, but it's fine for peening welds. Does a good job of it. And yeah, that was it's pretty intense. Well, it's still slightly warm to the touch, just a little bit, but it is pretty cool. It doesn't just completely pop up when I do this, so hopefully it's still attached. Oh, look at that. Pretty full weld. Alright, that's a completely hideous weld, but it clearly held to some degree. Oh, let's have a look at this thing. I'm pretty excited about this. Yeah, it's a little bit warm, but it's much cooler than it is. It's like 98% cool. Look at that. I don't see any cracks or anything. You see a little bit of undercut though. Yeah, that worked. No cracks, no splits, no nothing. Has that nice hammered look from my air hammer. Cool. Well, not bad. Should have given this bottom another pass though. Well, how about that? Well, I can say with almost complete certainty that we probably baked pretty much all the grease out of this thing, so I just sprayed it down with some WD-40 to get it going back together. And yeah, everything seems to line up pretty well. The only thing is it's not going to get any more closed than this until someone grinds down those welds. I guess I should probably get to work on that. But you know, this is actually a pretty cool little vise. And yeah, I'm pleased with how the repair went. I think that the 7018 I used to weld up this one welded a lot better than these crappy electrodes, but they did get the job done, so it's not that much bad I can say about them, I guess. And yeah, they're in there. Now, this little container said preheat to 600 to 700 degrees, and how did I know when I was at that temperature? Well, I really didn't, but I do know about what temperature this stuff starts glowing at, so what I did is I heated it to a dull red, and then I shut off the torch, and then, you know, by the time I took a few seconds to kill the torch, put that away, put on a welding helmet, grab the stinger, grab an electrode, probably cooled down a significant amount, so it was hopefully around 600 to 700 degrees. Guess we couldn't have been that far off, and then I just pretty much started welding. Well, you guys, I guess the last thing to do is to try it out. So I got this nice piece of scrap pipe here. I'm going to set it up and clamp down on it. This is the part where I start to get a little bit nervous. Well, it would appear to still be in as many pieces as it should be in. Yep, that's not going anywhere. Alright, well, it would appear as though this repair was a success, which is good because if I had to buy another $30 worth of electrodes to fix this for a second time, probably wouldn't be all that happy about it. But nonetheless, it's holding, and you know, I'm actually starting to like this little vise. So anyway, yeah, you know, this video has been a blast to make. Like I said, kind of been looking for an excuse to try out those nickel electrodes. Wanted something to be kind of cool, but not that huge of a cast iron project because, well, they are pretty dang expensive. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. I'm sure I'm going to have plenty more cast iron welding videos coming up in the near future. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more. Have a nice night, everybody. Yeehaw.